if you're at a table with a tablet and you're listening to someone and they're putting in their order, your attention is on the tablet. You're not making a connection with them.
The guest.
You're not making eye contact. You're not smiling to them. You've now introduced a threesome, okay? You're now a throuple. So you have this thing in between you and the guest instead of an intimate relationship.
Absolutely.
And that matters.
That's huge.
That's huge.
That's why I choose not to do it that way.
I completely get it. Hi, welcome to the Modern Waiter Podcast. I'm Marlon Joseph, the Modern Waiter, where we discuss all things restaurant business. Learn something. Laugh at something. Danny's restaurant just got a new POS system.
Yeah, they did.
And that gives us an opportunity to constructively talk about our perspective on things happening in the restaurant business. For the uninitiated, POS stands for point of sale, and it refers to the system and software used by restaurants to manage sales transactions and process payments. Let's find out how a change in the POS system affects Danny and his coworkers. But first, the intro.
Tired of working deadbeat jobs for lame pay. I'm tired of getting fired and hired the same day. If you know the rules of the game, then you'll stay. And if you don't, then you'll be a problem.
As usual, I'm joined by my good friend Danny DeVilla.
What's up, people?
Now, let's do a brief overview of what at least we have dealt with in the POS systems in the restaurant business.
Absolutely.
And so being in the restaurant business for over 25, 26, 27 years for me personally. And when I first started, it wasn't quite paper.
Yeah. No.
Right? So a point of sale, if you want to say, it could be paper and a register. Okay. And then legacy POS systems are the cash register.
Yeah.
And then you want to integrate computers. And the good thing about computers is that you can gather data, process payments, things like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And mostly they're going to be all in-house, meaning there's a server or a closed-loop system of some kind, and the data is on a hard drive or a server at that location.
Yes.
And when you're building out more and more technology, to me anyway, there's really only two ways.
Yeah.
There's that way, and then the internet-based or cloud, where cloud-based, where the information is stored off-site.
Yeah.
Right? And hey, other than that, you're basically going to be tailor-making it. Let's say you're a food truck. Your POS is going to be more of a tablet, cell phone, with Wi-Fi, something like that. Maybe it's not, I wouldn't call it simple, but mobile.
Yeah, mobile, absolutely.
Yeah, because these apps give you a lot of information. You can see what you sold, and that ties into inventory.
Absolutely.
And I'm used to the POS being a computer screen, a computer monitor.
Yes.
And that's in a fixed station, and everybody goes to that station.
To that station, you run your card. That's what I was used to as well.
Yes,
and then they changed my world.
They change your world. And now you have a tablet.
Yeah.
What I want to do is, we're not going to talk about different brands.
Yeah.
I mean, there's famous brands like Toast, there's Aloha, there's Pinnacle, things like that. But it's more important to talk about the styles.
Yeah.
A station where it's fixed on a wall or podium versus mobile. And that's the POS systems that...
That's where the changes came in.
You're mobile now.
Yeah, we're mobile.
And for those of you who have been listening to our show, thank you for joining us once again. You know that Danny is... shall we say, he likes the way it was yesterday.
Yes.
I don't want to say you're resistant to change, because that wouldn't be fair to you.
Yeah.
Because you have adapted to a lot of things, especially in the way that, if you know that's the way you want to move, but you like to do things in a way that you're so, I don't want to say efficient, but you're so good at doing things a way.
Yes.
that you want to keep it that way, and then it appears that you're resistant to change,
Yes.
but really it's more nuanced than that. Before we get into you, how do your coworkers now? What is it? What's the system? You tell me.
We moved from POS Touch, which is pretty much I think what you have at your spot. When you touch the screen, it's in a hard station, blah blah
Yes.
blah. And we moved into a system called Tabit. They're similar, but there's so many differences. Obviously, we're mobile.
Okay.
And my coworkers,
So is there still a central computer screen that you can go to, or no, everything is through that tablet?
Mostly everything through the tablet. They have to have two. They're at my bar.
Okay.
But even there, with anything, there's always system glitches, and we're still learning the system as a whole. So I'm not going to say that it has any more than or less than the other system, but we're just learning it.
Okay. Now the form factor. Let's talk about that, because I'm big on design and spaces, and how does that affect the space now that there's no computer screen? Do you have more
room?
What does that look like? What does it feel like?
It feels a little weird,
It feels butt naked?
Yeah. It's like you had art on the wall and that art is gone.
That to me that makes sense.
Yes.
Because there's a void there now. Even if you have a painting or a podium or a statue or a bust, and then it's not there,
you're kind of like, what's going on?
Yeah.
It kind of throws you off a little bit.
Do you like automatically go over there and go like, what the hell am I doing?
I go over there. Actually, I still go to the same exact spot and punch in my orders
On the tablet.
on the tablet.
Now that is the epitome of doing, you're in that groove, you're in that routine.
Absolutely.
Oh man, that's crazy.
I try not to change it too much just because I'm learning the system. And I want to, one of the things they kind of want us to do eventually is take the order table, but I don't like taking orders at the table. Like,
Okay, we're not there yet. We're still talking about the form factor.
yes. But I'm so used to stuck in my way, so I go to the corner and I put my orders in, and I make sure they're all correct, and then I make sure they hit the kitchen just like I would do on any normal system.
Yeah. And so did they replace it with anything? Is it all cleaned up? There's no cords now. There's no battery packs.
There's still cords because we still use the printer.
Interesting.
Yeah, we still have to use the printer.
So the printer's wireless?
The printer is not directly wireless, but yes, it's wireless. It connects wirelessly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
But it still needs, there's still cords because they have to be plugged in. There's power and blah, blah, blah. But
Okay.
it connects to somewhere. But
Now, did they cover it with something? So
No.
so there's just a printer just sitting there.
yeah, if you remember the old place, remember how we had that our old station? So instead of there being screens, where the screens were, there's nothing on the wall, but now there's printers.
Okay.
So the printers are still on the little base that we had there before.
Okay, so the podium's still there. What do you got in that podium? Like printed paper?
Printer paper.
Okay.
Obviously, all the
Random purses and bags?
Absolutely.
They still breaking the rules?
Still breaking the rules. And actually, that is where I hide my tablet, so I'm not walking around with it throughout the restaurant. So I have it on the flow.
And so how do you know, okay, is it a random tab? Because I've never used it. It's just a generic tablet, or it's a tablet for you?
It's an iPad.
Okay.
And I think there's 20 of them.
And do you log in?
Can you log in? Yeah, you can log into any tablet.
Okay.
So you clock in on anyone, and I keep the same tablet throughout the whole day, though. Because most of the time, like people I've noticed have adapted, and they have bought straps so they can keep their tablet on them. Yeah, it's like a purse on them.
How big is it?
It's an iPod. It's like an iPad Mini. Yeah, it's kind of big.
See, now that form factor, I don't think.
And on top of, so imagine an iPad Mini, but on top of it, it's in a nice chunky OtterBox.
Yeah, so it's drop resistant.
Yes.
Well, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
And it has a handle, and it has a little credit card thing on the back of it. So
Okay.
It's kind of. I mean, it's not big, but it's not small.
Now, imagine that you worked in a fancy restaurant. How would that really wouldn't really to me?
It doesn't
what do you
navigate
think?
the right way.
Huh?
To me, it doesn't navigate the right way. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, it would seem a little bit different to have a purse around your thing when you're in your nice tie and everything. So it definitely to me feels like it belongs in a certain style of restaurant.
Absolutely.
Okay, and it's an iPad Mini. They could actually choose a smaller form factor, correct?
Probably, yeah.
You would think depending on the company. Okay. That's interesting. I think for me, That is what I would not like the most.
That is what I don't like the most.
I don't want to wear extra
and I'm
stuff.
and I don't wear it.
And I don't want to carry, it's...
I like to keep my same style of serving.
Yes.
And so I integrate into the system and I use the system and I don't have an issue with that part of it, the functionality of it, and the, like we said, POS are POSs. You know what I mean? So in that form, I do like the system.
Yeah.
I don't dislike it. It's nothing negative. The system's a system. It puts my order in, boom. Okay. I also like the functionality of what I do like that's mobile is, and I didn't think I was gonna like in the beginning, but the payment factor, where you can go to the table, especially because Europeans are so used to not giving away their card and stuff like that, and so we're in a very transient area where we have tourists all the time. So I do like that fact where they just pay at the table, and they just either they tap or they put it in the machine, but it's all I let them I leave the tablet with them, let them have their little alone time to do what they need to do.
Yeah.
I grab the tablet back and I kind of go check on all my other tables and I come back and grab the tablet.
All right. There's a couple of things. The form factor, we're going to wrap that up. It almost seems to me that you're adding on to your uniform.
Yes, and that's just too much.
So it changes the uniform, in effect.
Absolutely.
Okay. Not sure how I feel about that because I've gone through a couple of uniform changes and I've been pretty vocal. We've gone from T-shirts, which is whatever, and it's mostly the T-shirts are more of a function. They were a dry fit material type of moisture wicking T-shirt, and we're in South Florida and we're an outdoor restaurant for the most part, so
it made sense.
It made sense. Now they changed it because they wanted a more upscale look, and they went for the long sleeve button downs. And cool. My only problem with that was the type of shirt that they gave us was thick and it heavy. It was heavy and it wasn't really the best material, but that's fine. I made my own shirt. Okay. Then it's summertime, anticipating people already complaining about being hot. They went to a short sleeve button down, which to me is a completely different look.
Yeah.
It's no longer
it's not clean.
A sophisticated look. It's a gas station look.
You were almost better off going back to your dry fit.
You're almost better going off to the dry fit, which we wear on brunch and lunches. So it's really a disconnect there. And so my whole thing was, when you're solving an issue, you almost have to step back to really look at the big picture before you make the decision. To me, the decision was made, we like the long sleeve so much, let's just make them short sleeve, and but the short sleeve, to me, are more casual than any T-shirt.
Absolutely.
It sounds weird because I give the example of, hey, those are really nice pants. Long, slacks or whatever, let's make them shorts.
It's not the same.
It's not the same. It's definitely not the same. Same analogy with the. I feel like I'm pulling people's cars around, stuff like that. But anyway, that's how I feel about the tablet. When you go to Chick-fil-A, it almost feels like you're out in the parking lot.
It's pretty much that same tablet.
Yes. And so it may not be you're on the beach. I don't want to say you're casual, you're upscale dining still, but you're on the beach because then you have some issues.
Yeah, absolutely.
You don't want to push people away with, you can't come in because,
XYZ.
We're XYZ, and you guys have a really nice mix. And so getting off the form factor, getting off that fact, now I would rather move into what your coworkers think, and then we'll wrap up with how you feel about it, good, bad, and the ugly. And you did touch upon some things. What's the general consensus from the peeps?
So the older, the more experienced coworkers, they don't like it. They're more. It's just harder for them to understand the
system. Talking about Danielle?
Yes.
How did I know?
They're not. I'm gonna say they're not resistant to change, but it just certain things on there don't make sense.
The change has to make sense.
The change has to make sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
But they didn't consult anybody.
No.
Well, at least not you.
No.
Okay. Which they never do. Not that they should.
But yeah.
No, that's not the point. It's just funny.
Yeah.
But
so and then with the newer people that have an idea about the system already, it's good and bad. Because there's a lot of little things, little nuances that we are so used to being able to do because of the way our restaurant is ran. Okay?
Interesting.
So the way our restaurant is ran, where we run with one manager,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? And on this system, and remember from the old system, all we would do is separate checks when we had an issue or something like that, or something needs to be taken off, and we could deal with it later. We can have it comped or voided, or we would just tell the manager and they can deal with it at a later moment.
Okay.
Now, when you're in the system, you can put the reason why, but then if the manager's running around and doing his job or her job, they need to also have a tablet on them, and they don't want that. They don't want to be, especially
that's funny.
They don't want to be bogged down by the tablet as
Yes.
well, which is fair.
Okay.
So if it's not directly on them, then that void, you still have to go find a manager and tell them they need to go grab a tab. And if they're busy, it takes more time compared to before where we could just separate, move on, and keep it transient.
Okay.
Another thing functionally was we can run multiple of the same table.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Where if a table started and it wasn't closed yet, we can't do that anymore. The table has to be closed. If it's not closed, so let's say you're at lunch and somebody's on a double and they're busy and they're in your section. Well, they were in your section, now they're in their section, and they have overlapping tables and they didn't close the check. And you're trying to put a check in. You have to go find that server, have them, close the check, and which is, it's not. These are just little nuances.
Yes.
But these are things that we're not used to.
Okay. Let's stand on the other side. Whenever, let's say that ownership is buying a new system, those things are hardly able to be anticipated.
True.
So now we live in a place where you make the decision based on cost, based on, because I'm sure you might be gathering a lot more data with a new system, and that's more valuable than any changes that may come up. Let's say that. How do we fix those things when they do come up? It almost starts to run your restaurant a little bit differently now.
Yes.
So things that I feel that guests don't understand when they ask for something or something occurs, they don't understand the monkey juggling that you have to do behind the scenes just to get around technology. And so they think, oh, I don't see the big deal. Why not? Why not? Why not? And in part, they're right.
It's true.
Right.
It's not their job to know. It should run smoothly. I actually have an instance where I had a disgruntled guest, and normally I would just separate off what I wanted to separate off, and I couldn't.
Yes.
And I put it into the whole system, and I couldn't find my manager. They were running around. They were dealing with something, and it was an issue. And this grew to being a bigger issue because instead of being taken care of in a minute, it took 10 plus minutes to resolve the situation. So now the guest is irate. He's yelling at other people, and it just got really ugly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where it could have been probably fixed very quickly, very smoothly, and with my old system, I wouldn't have that issue at all.
Gotcha.
So, but like I said, there are pluses. There's plenty of pluses that work into it. Like I said, the whole mobile being able.
Well, we're not there. We're still on your coworkers.
So,
yeah.
Another reason, I mean, there's on their side, they like being mobile. They like having their own, being able to close out their own checks.
Okay.
Which is huge. We were based on. I think that is the biggest.
Now, when you say close out your own checks,
we were, I guess you call it diner style.
Okay.
When it came to calculating money and stuff like that, we had, which to me made sense because I've been there for so long.
Okay.
There was all the money was gathered centrally, at the bar. So you would close out all your checks.
So the bar was your cashier?
Absolutely.
Okay, gotcha.
So they would close out all our checks. They would, so everything was centralized into one area. So
and contrary to what sorry for interrupting you, what you are used to, that system sucked.
True.
Because then you're taking a bartender.
You're taking time away from other people.
You're taking time away from other people.
True. I'm not arguing that fact. That part of it was, but it made, when it came to where everything was, that part of it made sense to me only because of I've been there for so long.
Gotcha.
Where it made it easier when you did it, when you had to centralize your money, you knew exactly where to go. You knew exactly how to count the drawer. You knew exactly what was missing because it was all there in one shot.
Yeah.
So that made it a little bit easier where now you still, and it works in all other restaurants, but we were so used to this that when it first started that, calculating for 11 different. It's almost like 11 different or 12 different POSs or 12 different drawers you're counting all of a sudden. Does that make sense? What I'm saying?
Okay, so you're talking about at the end of the night.
Yes.
When the manager has to do the
cash out reports,
the cash out reports and things like that. Got you. It's not centralized.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they fixed that though. They end up making it back to the way it was when it at least came to cash outs.
Yeah.
We just run off of one. They gave the managers a drawer, and then we just take it from that drawer and keep it simple. So it was that was something that was fixable.
That's the epitome of a restaurant, though.
Yeah.
You were weird. Like my one manager, he talks about whack-a-mole. You know, a problem comes up, you just whack it down.
Yeah.
And so it's important for me. My philosophy in life really is just because you did something yesterday,
Yeah, it doesn't mean you can do it today.
doesn't mean it's the best way to
True.
have done it. And so when you say, "Oh, it's what we're used to," I find that a lot of restaurant people, you change anything, you're going to get a revolt.
You get pushback.
You're going to get pushback.
Absolutely.
And so I think some management.
I think in their mind it's the whole "if it ain't broke, don't fix it" kind of mentality. You know, we live by that in a restaurant usually.
Yeah.
If it's simple, keep it simple for us.
Yes.
And I think that's pretty much where it lies.
True. I get it. And it's worth understanding what's on the other side.
True.
If it's change just for change, then I agree with you.
Yeah.
But if you're gaining something, if you're gaining the bottom line, or if you're gaining more information, more data, or is it that you just want, or speed, I find it important to demonstrate what's on the other side, because we don't attend those sales meetings when they sell them the toast or the this or the that.
Now, so we were talking about speed. So are we at me yet, or are we still going to talk about the coworkers?
It's up to you. I mean, if your point is made,
this is a point that has to do with me and the coworkers.
Okay, talk to me.
So when it comes to speed, we're talking about speed and being efficient and stuff like that. I find the one thing that might actually take more time is the process that they want us to do, where taking the order at the table and stuff like that. That doesn't make it efficient to me.
Okay.
If you're taking an order at a table and you're sitting in front of a tablet and you're typing, now they don't get up your butthole about it or anything, but this is what they want. Doesn't mean it's not the way we do it, but it's the way that they want it done. But to me, it's not efficient, because if I'm at a table typing an order and listening to you, and it goes in, it doesn't give you any room for error, first of all. So let's say, like with our old school style of serving, where I go to a table, I take the order, I walk away, I go to the computer. How many times, between me and you, personally, have you had somebody come and say, "Oh, while you're at that computer, I changed my mind," or "I've done this," or "Can we switch that to this kind of sauce?" So, anything, it could be a small nuance, you know what I mean? On this system, the one problem that I find with it is once it's in, it's done.
Yeah.
So what I do like is that's why I still walk away and give my table that time to digest. And at the same time, give my mind a time to really focus on the guest, and then walk away and then take care of their needs on the tablet like I did on the bigger screen.
Okay.
But as another thing that's a pain.
Well, let's talk about that.
Okay.
Because I think that point is something that does not really show up in why you would want something done that way. Okay, and this is to me is one of the downfalls of the service industry, because technology is great. Okay, but there's such a huge human component to this. And that's one of the reasons why people come back to something. I have not gone places because I know I had to pull out my phone and use a QR code. Okay? And is that going to show up on somebody's report? I'm not alone. I know people who can't stand a QR code.
We talk about it all the time.
But it makes sense. Oh, it's hands-free. It's this and that. But let me tell you something. If you're at a table with a tablet and you're listening to someone and they're putting in their order, your attention is on the tablet. You're not making a connection with them.
The guest.
You're not making eye contact. You're not smiling to them. You've now introduced a threesome. Okay? You're now a throuple. So you have this thing in between you and the guest instead of an intimate relationship.
Absolutely.
And that matters.
That's huge.
That's huge.
That's why I choose not to do it that way.
I completely get it. For instance, I went to my daughter's graduation about things, and she was on the dais, and you want to capture the moment, or whether it's a concert or anything.
Yeah.
You want to capture the moment, and I found myself not in certain situations because I want to be present and I want to be there and but then the minute you raise that camera,
you're third person.
You're third person,
yes.
because then you have to get the framing, you have to get yourself out of the moment and you're into the camera. So if you're at a concert, you're
not really engaged. You're watching through the lens. You might as well be watching it at home on TV.
Correct. And so I find myself be willing to miss certain things to be alive in that moment.
Yeah.
So if you're in that, my mom was sitting next to me. Okay, tell you a quick side story, and she says, "Are you going to record this?" And I said, "You have a phone." And then she found out how hard it is to do. She pulled out her phone and she pressed record, and she was engaged, but she was making a crappy video. Then I raised it up. I said, "You got to point it there." And then as she pointed it, she realized that it cuts that connection. So as you give a server that POS that's mobile, it cuts that connection with the guest somewhat. So you gain speed, yes, but you lose, and that's why people come back. They don't want to just. They could go anywhere.
Anywhere.
That's what you have to understand. They could go anywhere.
Absolutely.
They go somewhere that they know someone who knows how they like to be taken care of.
Absolutely.
How they like to be looked at and have that personal touch. So I get you, my man. I get you.
You hit it right on. Okay, that is my biggest issue with it.
Okay.
My next issue is and it's weird because you would think it would be easier, but the splitting of checks, which is never fun.
Okay.
Now you got to remember, yes, I'm on one system, but before I had two computers. Let's say I went to a station. And there's two computers there, right? I could actually run two cards in one time. Now you're handing them the machine. It's going around.
Okay, so it's not. It's the split payments.
Yes,
is the issue. So now you're
the splitting of the checks is still splitting of checks. It's going to take the same amount of time on any POS.
Okay.
You know what I mean? That once you understand the speed of the system, it is what it is. You know what I mean? But when it comes to time of now you got to, it's a whole process all of a sudden. So now it's very individual because you only have the one tablet.
Okay.
I can't bring over two tablets and run it for the same table.
Let me ask you this. So then, if you have separate payments, okay, the old system, you take all the credit cards and you're the funnel.
Yeah.
You start like that, and then you come back, you gather, bop, 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 bop. So let's imagine that takes you time to print the checks, hand them out, gather them, and then you're doing individually, and you're saying you could do, because we can't do that. I can't go here and start run. That would piss my coworkers off if we could.
True.
But now at the table, you're running at their speed.
Yes.
Because now you're giving someone else a job that they're not qualified for.
Absolutely.
And so you're standing there. You're telling me that you're standing there with 8 separate people
walking around the
table,
waiting for them, put their thing in, grab it, give it back their card, make sure they didn't leave it in the machine. Next person.
That's not fast.
It's not fast.
Okay.
That actually, I had a large party of 11 kids. They were really nice, easy, good party.
Yeah.
They had a total of 8 separate checks.
Okay.
They had a couple couples, and then everybody else was individual. I had a full dining room at the time, so it made it a little inefficient for me. You know what I mean? Because I wasn't able to be. I had to be at that table. I had to be on top of them. True. I wasn't able to give them. I wasn't able to do it all in one session. Bring it to the table, let them do their thing, and then go back and while they're signing out, take care of everything else.
And now you're undermining service.
Yes,
because you're not physically elsewhere doing your job. You're doing a job and doing a poor job somewhere else. And
so it kind of hurts with the multitasking a little bit.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yes.
And
so just those 2 points would be my.
Those are huge.
Those are huge, but those are my 2 biggest points.
You know how often separate payments come up? I had my last shift was brunch. I had not that many tables, but my screen. I don't think I had one table
with one check.
With one check by itself.
That's see.
So I would have been buried.
Yeah.
What seems to be interesting, although I've never used it, I took my mom out to dinner the other day, and we went to one of my favorite restaurants, and it was nice. There was a QR code, and she looks over and she's like, "Oh, do you like those?" And I told her what I thought, but I said, it's important to know that that's not a QR code for a menu, that's a QR code for payment.
Okay.
And so I told her I would sooner do a QR code for payment than I would for a menu. And we've gone through this, and that's a separate show.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so that would help you.
That's the menu show.
Yes, that's the menu show that we did.
Just to go back and do
Yes,
that.
go back and check that out. But that would help you, because if you say, oh, you could split checks, because those young people all most likely have phones and most likely are familiar with payment, it's not going to help you with older people.
No.
We have a generation or half a generation to go before.
Oh yeah, there's a big gap still when it comes to technology, because it moves that fast.
There's a big gap. It's not. Yes, you're right. It does move that fast, but it's the unwillingness to catch up is what. Once you hit a certain age, you're like, screw this.
Yeah.
You can keep your separate payments.
I'll pay it.
Yes, I'll pay it. Bad enough I got to pay with this credit card.
Yeah.
You know, you already got them on the credit card.
Yeah.
You got them off cash. So they're not going to learn another way of payment. However, I'm fine with that, because then you can, that would help you, the restaurant, be more efficient.
Yeah.
If they're paying, you can pay separate checks if you do the QR code and all that stuff. I didn't use it, so I don't know actually how efficient it is, but I can imagine
how it could be efficient.
Yeah, for sure. And so that's something that we're not there yet, and that's huge, man. That's as you phase out the importance of your job, I'm starting to see how. Yes, it sounds great when you can see the 86 list and whatever else and all that stuff, but it changes to me the style
dynamic,
of service.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's and you don't want that to happen.
You don't want that to happen.
You don't want that to happen, because then in the end, what do you even have us there for? That means we just lost jobs, millions of them.
I look at that secondarily.
Yeah.
Losing jobs, it's almost like an after effect. Losing revenue is the primary effect. And I'm telling you, I listen to people all the time, and they tell you why they come here.
Yeah.
I come here for you. I come here for the food. I come here for the service. And once you listen to those things,
that personal touch is huge every time.
It's huge.
Because think about how many times just the average person, I have to make a phone call today, and I'm already kind of dreading it, because I can imagine how the customer service is going to be on the phone.
Yeah, I get that part. That's a little bit different, because you have to make that phone call, right? And you have to make it at a certain place.
Yeah.
But you don't have to go out to dinner, first of all.
True.
So once you make that decision, how do you make your decision to go out? For me, I go where
you're comfortable,
where I'm comfortable, where I know I'm going to get good service. Yes, where you feel like you're wanted.
Yeah.
Yes, and that's it. I X out places where I feel like it's just going to be.
Where I'm just another number.
Yeah, where I'm just.
I don't want to be another number.
I don't.
I want to feel special. I mean, I think, and that's what we do.
Yes.
And that's what makes it different, and that's why they come back, like you said, and that's why we do this podcast, because we love what we do.
Yes.
Okay, that connection is so huge.
Yes.
And that is like why I choose personally not to fall the way of the system and try to keep it as much as the way it was while adapting to their new system.
Correct. I mean, utilitarian, the way of that would be, hey, I'm hungry, I'm going to get food. That's when you're on a road trip, when you're going somewhere and you just functionally want to eat.
Yeah.
But when you want a dining experience, you don't want to see somebody on their tablet.
No.
You don't want to feel like a number.
Nope.
You want smiles and connections and stories and things like that.
You want to go where people know your name.
You want to go where people know 100%. That, especially in the bar business.
Yeah.
Especially in the bar business. You want to roll up there, hey, slap some high fives, sit down, shoot the stuff. It's not like you can drink at home.
Absolutely.
You can buy booze at a liquor store. That's a whole other thing.
Yeah.
Now let's wrap this show up. What is You talked about the positives and the negatives. What do you like most about it?
I like I said, the easiest part, what I do like the most is the checkout.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's huge, where I'm closing out my own checks and stuff like that. And it is efficient. But
what would you fix? I mean, it's important to...
What would I fix? I would put back the ability, because like I said, we're a busier restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
I'd put back the ability to have the split checks to where I can just separate something off and let my let my manager do it at a separate moment.
Mm-hmm.
And I would also, I would not make it when the big ones, they want us all sit. I don't want it to be mandatory that I have to sit at the table with a tablet.
Got you.
And I'm not gonna do it anyway. So I mean, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I get it. I think that's a failing of the big picture.
Yeah.
You know, if you really want that Chick-fil-A style, then you believe me when I tell you, the people that often make those decisions aren't the ones that are doing it. They may have done it, but in a different era,
mm-hmm.
and they're being a little bit blinded, and not just blinded. You're getting in your own way.
Yeah.
Okay? I understand for accuracy that you want to do that thing at the table, but consider this. You're still at the mercy of putting that in when the customer says, "Oh, can I change this?"
Yes, absolutely.
"Oh, can I have this instead?" They do that all the time. And so the accuracy, I think that's a fair point, but you're going to really lose that
connection.
That connection,
which is huge.
Which
in the end equals revenue, which equals people coming back, putting asses in seats on a consistent basis. It gives you a regular clientele base, and that's what you're looking for in the end anyways.
It kind of steps you back where, let's say you took the order, and then it's time to talk about dessert. Okay, hey, you want to have dessert, and then it's more transactional and an order taker
mm-hmm.
instead of a facilitating and giving that service. So you might think that, oh, we're just looking out to protect our tips and things like that, but remember, the tips only come from revenue.
Yeah.
Very rarely do you have a soda tip you $100.
No,
it comes from revenue.
Yeah,
and so the more those two things are aligned and in good service, the better it is for everyone.
Absolutely.
So we're gonna leave you on that. Do you have a POS system that has some flaws? Let us know.
No, absolutely.
Let us know what the brand is, and let us know what it is that bogs you down. You can connect with me on Instagram. I am at the Modern Waiter Podcast, or you can email me. I get emails all the time. I write back. It's themodernwaiter@gmail.com.
Yes, it is.
And if you do enjoy our show, give us a like and subscribe. And if you're just listening, I look at these reviews. Let's get a couple of reviews in there. Give us 5 stars.
Mm-hmm.
Tell them you listen to the Modern Waiter Podcast, and it's pretty cool. It really helps us to understand where we're going, what topics we want to give to, because we're not stopping. We do this for you each and every week.
Boom.
We've been doing it for over 4 years. This is our 5th year now. And that makes sense, right?
Going into our 5th year soon, yes. We're in our 5th season?
We're in our 5th season already.
Yes,
yeah, so we've been doing this for over 5 years. And so giving us that feedback lets us know what you want to hear. So the show gets in the direction that our listeners really want to take it. And we're very experimental. We like to go. But then for us on this side, it's putting something out in the universe, and we really don't get that echo back. Mm-hmm. And so
we want to know what you think about the show.
We want to know what you think about the show. It's very important to us, and we're grateful for you. And if you do enjoy it,
like, subscribe, all the above.
And share. It's important for that helps us grow. Mm-hmm. You pass it on to a friend, and you tell them you listen to the Modern Waiter Podcast. I'm Marlon Joseph, the Modern Waiter.
I'm Danny Villain. Subscribe, people.
We'll see you next time.
Later.
Obsessed, baby. BMR all day. You know we got it. Every day, hot day. The man, Mr. Quick.